What is up, everybody? Welcome to Live Deep Dive. I'm Paul Waldington. That gentleman is Ian Boyd. And we're going to talk a little Texas football. More specifically, we're going to talk about the Texas O-line, possible iterations, what the downsides and upsides are of that unit, how it's going to affect our season. But mostly, it's just a vehicle to talk about the Deadliest Warrior, which we're going to do because now we're live and our producer, Connor, can't do anything about it. We're going to do 30 minutes on the Deadliest Warrior, people, the greatest show ever put on television. Before that, we want you to come join us at Inside Texas. Right now, there's an amazing promo, even a better promo than anything the Deadliest Warrior ever ran. $1 flash sale, 50% off for your first year. That is amazing. A year lasts 12 months, Ian, by my calculations.
Does it now?
All right, I want to talk to you. I looked it up. I'd forgotten about some of these matchups. Do you know what one of them was? IRA versus Taliban.
I remember that one for sure.
So what is it? Just the IRA guy trying to convince an Afghan to get into a car that he bombed, like he has a car bomb in, and then the Taliban guys trying to convince the IRA guy to drive past a roadside IED. Like that's the whole show.
It was basically half the show was a promotional for the AR-15 and why it's a better rifle than the AK-47.
Okay.
That was a big part of it. They did talk about car bombs versus IEDs. I think IED won that one pretty big.
Another one was Spartan versus Ninja. I was trying to think who the Spartan was matched up with. And it's a ninja. So stupid. So I must admit, now that I've looked at some of the matchups, another one was Apache versus Gladiator. So stupid. That's amazing. Which is why I loved it. All right. We are officially demonetized now. I don't care. This is all just a vehicle to talk about Deadliest Warrior and things that Ian and I are really passionate about.
They tested on the, they had like their human crash test bodies.
Yeah, the gel dummy.
Gel dummy.
Yeah.
They did dude punched one with the Spartan shield and it split its skull.
Yes.
And it was like, is that really how what a terrible time that would have been to be alive to fight back then.
I don't know, but it'd be kind of exciting. All right, let's talk about something equal exciting, which is this offensive line and what they're going to do for this 2026 season. It's the ghost of Texas football says, forget football. We need to keep this going. I agree. Everyone's now remembering the show, and it was one of the greatest shows ever. There's a spin-off sort of equivalent to it when I bought my son all of the books, and your sons would love it. It's Animal Face-Off. Basically, it's just little books about what if an orca fought a great white. And then they have they explain scientifically about both animals, and they have a fight at the end. There was nothing that got my son better into reading than those books. And it answered some important questions for me as well. I was kind of into it. All right. We want to talk about what happens when the Longhorn animals encounter the Sooner animals. Who wins? And one of the keys to that is going to be the offensive line. So, Ian, let's talk about the offensive line. Let's start with the starters. And then let's talk about possible iterations of the O-line. If some guys maybe don't live up to expectation. Oh, look at that. If some guys don't live up to expectation. And also just in terms of depth, who's first guy off the bench. I actually want to start in the middle. Connor Robertson. He returned. He should be a stabilizing force. We thought he was going to graduate and, go sell commercial real estate or whatever he was going to go do. But Connor Robertson did come back. He was actually a stabilizing force when they inserted him last year. I don't think either of us thinks he's physically overwhelming or is going to be first team all SEC center, but he's experienced. He's smart. He knows what he's doing. And, it was interesting to see young Brockermeyer as the center for the Miami Hurricanes offensive line, right?
Oh, yeah.
Sometimes just a steady, experienced hand is what you need at center. And I think he's that. So my question is, who's his backup?
That is a great question. And it has...
Wow. Look at some of these. These are some great picks.
There's one of them. I mean, yeah. Korsky is a possible backup. And then Jackson Christian is considered to be potentially the future of the position.
Let's get that Jackson Christian photo up. There we go. All right.
Mullet.
Atta
Mullet
boy.
and glasses. So yeah, study in the front and party in the back.
That's right.
Here's one thing Robertson does do that is like above average. He pulls.
Yep.
They can bring him around the edge and lead block, and he can go and actually find someone to hit and not just like fall over himself and look totally useless. A lot of guys, you try to pull them and like the back gets there before they do. And they just,
Being able to hike a ball and pull is actually pretty legit.
yeah.
That is not easy. Hey, I got a question for you. When is the first time you ever saw a pulling center? Isn't that a relatively recent phenomenon with like zone schemes?
I'm so glad you asked. I think it's a function of most defenses set both of their defensive tackles across from a guard and not a center anymore.
right.
And so when you want to run like zone schemes, all of a sudden your guards, who are generally your best run blockers, have a guy on them. So they have trouble climbing to the linebacker, right? And then your center, he's like the free man, maybe go hit a linebacker. He's either got to reach block a defensive tackle, which is really hard and requires like the guard trading him to him really effectively. And that's very difficult to get right. Or he's got to go release downfield and go hit a linebacker in space. And that's also really hard. And it's really hard when you're sandwiched in between the biggest, strongest guys on either team to your right and your left.
Yep.
But you can, if you can pull them, then it's so much easier to find those linebackers.
Well, they have to come meet you.
Yep. Because you're
That's part of
sitting. Yep.
But chasing down a Drew Kelson in space, if you're a 300-pound dude, like he's just going to run around. He's going to run past you. Like he's going to matador you.
Right.
So yeah, you got to make them come to you. And if you're a puller as a lead block, you get the ability to create the impact because they have to come meet you in the hole. And if they try to wrong shoulder you or try to slide underneath, hey, just screen them off. The back can cut off that, and you can get a big run. So interesting comment in the chat. I think worth bubbling up. I think regardless of how problematic our short yardage blocking may be, I think the wide zone blocking is going to be really good because of Baker's agility and Robertson's pulling, plus blocking wide receivers. That's a very good point, Ian. I think that is something we're kind of counting on. I think that's something Steve Sarkisian is counting on this year.
Yeah, all of that. The blocking wide receivers for sure. Robertson's pulling. Robertson also the same quickness that makes him a good puller, makes it to where he actually can get over on those wide zone combo blocks to potentially accept the defensive tackle and let the guard go pop somebody.
Yep.
So, yeah, I mean, I think most of our complaints about him are really more like pass protection. He's pretty quick. I don't think Sikorsky can do any of those things that Robertson can do on like pulling or outside zone. Maybe outside zone, but pulling is pretty iffy, looks like, for him. And then Jackson Christian, I don't know. We haven't really seen him in college.
No, but based on that photo, I like the vibe he's putting down.
The vibe is good. The
vibe is strong. I'll say this about Sikorsky, watching him a little bit at Oregon State and then also watching him in our scrimmage-ish spring event. Big, strong guy who can anchor and claim ground. Mm-hmm. Slow-footed. He's slow. He's not a quick guy. We're not going to be pulling Dylan Sikorsky around. But I think he is capable of getting on a person. And I think he's a plus pass protector. Say that 3 times fast. I think he's a plus pass protector when he's not matched up against a really undersized quick guy who's like shooting gaps. It's kind of like that high school phenomenon. You'll see a blue chip high school O-line go against like that 190-pound defensive end. And that guy's just like sprinting around, like, running through gaps and like taking crazy TE stunts. And the guy actually struggles with them a little. And you're like, oh, this isn't good. No, not really. It's just that he doesn't know how to deal with that yet. the minute he learns that, which literally he can learn in 3 months from an O-line coach, he's going to squash that guy, right?
It's
So
like
it's just kind of how sports works. I mean, I always make the analogy of your high school tight end, who's a really big, strong guy, and he's 6'3", 6'4". He's a great power forward on your basketball team, and he can go like abuse a 6'8", 6'9" guy who's got real upside in college because the guy's like 190 pounds.
Yeah.
In 18 months, that 6'8" kid will destroy that 6'3", 6'4" tight end, power forward. But until he gets the physical, the physical maturity and the skill set, it's just physical strength, and you're kind of getting manhandled by the bigger body, or just a weird matchup. So that's kind of how I always think of it. All right, I think Sikorsky is going to be the backup for Connor Robertson, and when he is, or if he does have to play, I think that will change how we approach offense. I think we're going to be a little bit more of an inside zone or duo sort of offense when he's in, or if he has to go in. But we'll see. We'll see about that. Let's go next door to the center. Let's get out to the tackles last.
Yep.
We're going to talk about guard.
Yeah, this is it.
All right. We know Brandon Baker has been moved to guard from his right tackle position. I like Brandon. He's coordinated. He's athletic. He plays hard. Not super strong at the point of attack, and which is a criticism you can make of several of our O-line, right? Great feet, though. And I like his persistence when he blocks. Got penalized a lot last year. I'm not sure how much of that was discipline or how much of that was, matchups or whatever, trying to compensate. Sometimes you hold because you're not strong enough, right? So what do we think about him at guard? And let's talk about that. If it doesn't pan at some other spots, or if he's not optimal there, let's talk about who might move there in his stead if we have to kick him out back to right tackle.
I guess it might depend on what the deficiency is. So we think he'll be good in pass protection, right?
We think a big, super strong monster guy.
Yeah, okay.
He may not be able to anchor. He might get bull rushed. Maybe. All right, so there's that. And then there's the corollary of that will come up much more often is, can he not push people in the run game? If that bears out that he can't push people, then you might have to make a move, right? And one of the big, overall, it looks like they've upgraded the line like massively. But one area where it's obviously worse is going from DJ Campbell at the point of attack on a lot of runs to Brandon Baker. Because Campbell was low to the ground and powerful, and he flipped a switch for the Oklahoma game that stayed on for the rest of the year. The second quarter of the OU game. What's the childhood fable about the bull that gets stung by a bee and he's acting crazy? He's actually like super sweet. Is that Ferdinand?
I think so.
I feel like a bee stung him in the second quarter of the OU game. And then after that, he was just in a rage. But before that, he was kind of soft, to be honest.
Yeah. Everything was a mess on the team before that.
Yeah.
So that is a big concern. And then if we talk about guards, maybe is where like your run blocking schematic choices matter most, right?
Mm-hmm.
More than tackle. Like tackle, you just play your best pass protectors and you kind of just figure the rest out. But in run blocking, it's like, this is for the guards. They have a bunch of guys that, like Baker was good on outside zone last year because he's quick. Robertson is good on outside zone because he's quick. Seymour has not done outside zone blocking very much. He is quick, but he hasn't done it very much. And so if they got into a position where they had to like choose between emphasizing things for Seymour or Baker, if there ends up being an incongruity there in what they can run, then that's another way I think you could see Baker or maybe Seymour on the bench.
There's another permutation possible, which is One of our tackles, God forbid, I'd knock on wood, but I don't want my dogs to go crazy because they'll think it's the front door. We could just have an injury at tackle, and Baker's our third tackle, right?
Yeah.
He might not be the third tackle. We're not sure yet. We're pending some other stuff there. Who might replace him? And what's the best lineup if he has to kick out to, say, left tackle or right tackle?
I'm going to name some names. You tell me what you think. They could play Sikorsky at guard. It's one of the guys on this team that's actually played games at guard in a college football game. They have Jaden Chapman pictured there on the right.
Mm-hmm.
Chapman, we've not seen a ton of him. He was certainly up against it in the spring game, trying to block Jaffrard and Canoe. I can tell you that.
Yeah.
I'm not totally sure what to make of that. It's not great. I don't know how bad it is, but it's not great. And then you have the Coleman twins that we hear nothing but good about, but we haven't really seen just a ton from them. I don't know if you noticed them much in the spring or not. Yes. And then you have Mr. Andre Kojo, who's been like the theoretical solution to the offensive line for 18 months.
He's supposed to be our sixth man, right?
I guess.
So
he's enormous. I don't even know what position he plays.
Well, tackle, theoretically. But what if his injury diminished his athleticism a tad? He might actually be a really good guard, or at least the kind of guard that Steve Sarkisian wants. Huge, tall, long. You can't bull rush him. Wide. You can't run through him, right?
Yeah.
He might be our third guard. You know, people are envisioning him as the third tackle. He might be the third guard.
Yep. Yeah, I mean, he may be one of the top two guards for all we know.
He could be one of the top two guards, absolutely. Let's answer a couple of questions before we move on to the other parts of the O-line. Chris Martinez asks, how long do you guys think it takes for us to see the weight room changes in the trenches, if at all? Chris, I will believe it when I see it. Ian, any thoughts?
Theoretically, one really productive offseason of lifting could make an enormous difference.
You know what would really make an enormous difference? 3.
Cheers.
No? Yeah, well, that can help. How about 3 or 4 accumulated seasons of really serious lifting focused on strength?
Yeah.
And you add them together. That's called development. And then you have something called Iowa. So, I mean, I do think it can make a difference because I think you'd be shocked at what a young, strong Division I athlete can do to their body with 3, 4, 6 months of rigorous lifting. But I'll believe it when I see it, because the fact is, this has been a criticism of the program when Steve Sarkisian took over. We had a guy come in as an advisor and he said, you need to lift heavier. And we did, and we got benefits. And then when he left, the advisor left, we went back to our bad habits. So, you know, I think this is another Gordian knot situation, but honestly, I'm tired of hearing about off-season reports, and a lot of them I don't believe. And a lot of what you see on Instagram is not their actual workouts, or it's just a piece of it. It's actually just PR. Like, they're putting out cool looking stuff for recruits, basically. So I'll believe it when I see it. I'm very much from Missouri in that regard.
Becton is so good at conditioning and speed stuff.
Yeah.
And we've seen that pay dividends for lots of monstrously shaped people on the defensive line. You wonder if they could get enough big, nimble guys like Kojo or supposedly the Coleman twins, if effectively moving that much weight at speed will do the work that a weight room won't.
Yeah.
But they're not projecting to play that kind of, as we just laid out, they're probably going to start Seymour and Baker, who are a little smaller and like more natural athletes.
So let's talk about
Although
this.
Seymour's had like 6 years of weightlifting, so
Well, I don't know. I can't attest to Western Kentucky's strength and conditioning program, but let's talk about Seymour and being a little smaller. Word is he might be like 6'1".
yeah.
So he's obviously built strong. I mean, we've seen him on film, right? And he's, interestingly enough, a very good pass protector, at least in the games he's played against the competition he's faced. They did play LSU, and I watched that tape. He's not really like a difference maker in the run game, and you'd think based on that body type, it would be exactly the opposite.
Yeah.
So it's kind of interesting.
Let's dive more into that. But before we do that, tell us about your man, Gabe Winslow.
He is the man. He's all of our men. He's the man. Call Gabe Winslow. You can reach him at 832-557-1095. Why Gabe? Because it's the summer and you need to get a new house or you need to refi your existing house because you've got a mortgage rate that starts with a 6 or 7 or God forbid an 8. You got to call Gabe. You got to get right. This is the guy who's going to do it for you. Over 20 years in the industry. He's been not just on the mortgage side. He's also been on the title side. He knows every single aspect of this business, and he's a problem solver. He's also an independent broker again. That means he works for himself. He works for you. He doesn't work for Big Bank USA, and he sure as heck doesn't work banker's hours, which is about 10 a.m. to about 11:30. Nice hour and a half lunch. Get back, answer a couple of emails, and then you get your out of office message after 3:45 p.m. We're not doing that in the independent world. This ain't Big Bank USA. This is Gabe Winslow. Let's go. Call him, 832-557-1095. If he's not your first class, he is first class. If he's not your first call, he should be your last call. All right. Another question from Jackson Miles. 1498. I'd like to know the significance of 1498. What happened in that year? I know 1492, some interesting stuff happened. What happened in 1498? I'm going to have to look that up. All right. Jackson Miles says, will rotations tip our plays? Jackson, we will not be rotating. We are going to try to find a starting 5, and they're going to play almost all the snaps. If you see changes in the lineup, it's because someone got injured or someone got benched or we're up by 45 points and we're putting our subs in.
Or something's going terribly and they're desperately scrambling to fix it.
Yeah, injuries or someone's getting benched, right?
Yeah, somebody's getting benched, right? Yeah, he said that. The Florida game when they put in Brooks.
I mean, how many guards did we go through? How many left guards did we go through last year?
3, right?
Yeah.
Maybe
well,
4.
You can count Cole Hudson too, right?
Yeah.
So
if you count Camp, then Ume Azulu, I guess.
Nah, Ume Azulu is the mystery that we'll never solve. I don't know what that guy did. I don't know, man. That's crazy. I think he transferred to North Texas, right?
Man, maybe.
I'm gonna laugh so hard if that guy is on postseason. He's first team All-American Athletic League and wins O-line of the year and gets drafted in the 5th round in the NFL. I'm just gonna be like, what happened? No one knows. It is a mystery. I know you guys all secretly think we all know. We don't know, or at least Ian and I don't know. Ian, do you know?
No. I mean, all I can surmise is maybe he wasn't playing very well in fall camp. He wasn't reliable. And Justin said he would get too emotionally worked up over mistakes. I wonder if maybe they benched him. They didn't like how he was going and they benched him late in the process and maybe he didn't respond super well. And they're like, well, now we're never going to play you.
Yeah. I mean,
it's really conjecture. I don't know.
It's all conjecture. That sounds the most plausible, but I don't know, man. I mean, you know what? I would have made up with him real quick about midseason and tried it again. But That's just me. But also, you and I had to suffer through a lot of deep dives watching our left guard play.
Yeah.
So I don't know. All right, so let's get back into it. Mr. Seymour, we don't know what we're going to get out of him. And that's the interesting thing about all this, right? We brought him in. Everyone's got him plugged in. People are doing the he was a third team All-American nonsense. Y'all need to relax on all that. You can find a publication that says something about anybody. Whatever. He's not one of the top 15 O-line in the country. Folks, I can tell you that. But if he's a solid above average starter at the SEC level, holy cow, does our offensive line get better?
So I think we've kind of been assuming that he's like Connor Robertson. It's maybe he's pretty good at a few things. He's good enough at other stuff. And then the machine goes on. What if he's not good? What if it's all he played well against LSU because they didn't have tackles?
Yeah, they didn't.
And yes. And then the rest of G5 just did not have a Will Eccles or a DJ Hicks or, whoever the defensive tackles they're going to face on the schedule. And it's very clear because Texas does have those dudes. And then in fall camp, he's just getting eaten alive.
We'll know very quickly.
Yeah.
Once they go live, their first padded drills, their first, one-on-ones, goal line, we'll know real fast. Because our defensive line will show you your weaknesses. And not just the first teamers. Our second teamers can show you a lot about yourself if you're an O-lineman. So that'll be very interesting. The truth is we just don't know. Because even the film we've watched, as Ian said, LSU didn't have very good defensive tackles. They had a pretty good defense talent-wise overall. But their glaring weakness was inside. So it's going to be very interesting. Now, the answer to that question could be a Coleman. It could be Kojo. It could be, there's different options. It's not going to be Trevor Gooseby. I can tell you that. Our franchise left tackle is going to play left tackle for Texas. But there are a lot of options there, and we're not quite sure what that's going to be. So let's get out to the bookends now. We talked about Brandon Baker's going to be playing inside. That's because we brought in Melvin Siani. Is it Siani? I've heard people in the IT staff pronounce it differently.
Pretty sure it's Siani.
Okay, are these the idiots that are pronouncing Kiev as Kiev or all that nonsense? What is that? I don't know. I think Mama named him Siani. I'm gonna call him Siani. All right. So that's a big addition from Wake Forest. He played well at Wake, good pass protector. He's kind of like a Gooseby light. That's the best way I could sort of describe him. He's not as good at Gooseby he's not as good as Gooseby, but he's kind of that agile offensive tackle archetype. Long, tall, athletic, but just a dialed down version of Gooseby. But even if we got the B version of Gooseby, that's a pretty good football player.
I feel very good about Siani. He does not have a lot of experience in outside zone. Again, this is one of the tricks of this offseason is that they're going to bring in all these guys. And maybe we find out the reason why Flood didn't like bringing in guys before is because then he didn't have a lot of time to teach him all of his run game techniques. And they're not able to pick it up in a summer.
Did our veterans pick it up?
They were usually actually pretty good at outside zone with enough time.
In individual games, and then other games it absolutely disappears.
Yeah. True.
All right. Sorry. I'm trying to be, we're not trying to just do burnt orange Kool-Aid in this deep dive.
I feel good about Siani with that. That's the only caveat is specific fit to Texas. Apparently in spring, as the pads came on and they started actually hitting, he was one of the dudes that kind of came alive. And that sounds great.
Yep.
I think he's going to be at least pretty good for us next year.
So what I heard is he had an athleticism adjustment, which is when you're the starting tackle at Wake and you're going against the twos, The second teamer at Wake on the edge is not going to play pro football. The second teamer edge at Texas is going to play pro football one day.
Yeah.
And he had to adjust. And that's the athletic challenge that all athletes face, right? As you rise up in level, whether it's within college or even college to pro or even high school to college, you're going to encounter novel athletic puzzles that you have to solve. And the guys who can solve it progress, and the guys who can't stagnate, right? I think he had to solve some puzzles like, I used to do this and that was enough. And that guy just ran around me. So I've got to figure this out. And I think he did. And that's very encouraging to hear.
Must be a pretty good athlete to pick it up that quick too. Like if you have to shift your footwork and your timing and you're just able to do it within a small window of time, that's very promising.
Yeah, I think he's Gooseby light. And to me, let's talk about Trevor Gooseby. We kind of saved the best for last. He is a phenomenal left tackle. He's going to go down as an all-timer at Texas. And 6'7", he's filled out now to 320. You see a picture of him, and he looks like if you saw him from a distance, you'd go, that guy's 6'3", 225, right?
Yeah.
And as he gets closer, you're like, oh my God. Like, he's really well put together, super athletic, great feet, very long, and really good at down blocking. I don't know if you've ever noticed that. Like, when he down blocks, he clears guys. Like, so he's got, it's not just his agility and his footwork there. That's part of it. He's obviously got some punch to him. That's not always, one of the downsides of being 6'7" is you can't get your pads really low. So if someone anchors on you, like some little squatty 4-eye, and you got to move them out on a gap play, you may not be able to do that as well just because you have such a higher base. But when he's able to like get moving and hit people, you can tell they feel that impact because he obviously has some acceleration from his athleticism. He's just a phenomenal player and utterly dominated Cassius Howell against A&M in that game. I think he cost Cassius Howell money. I think he really did in the NFL draft, because if you're a speed edge with short arms and you're 6'2", you don't encounter Trevor Goosebees who are like, I'm longer than you. I'm just as athletic as you. I'm just going to stuff you in a mailbox. Like, there's nothing you can do, right? He's used to like big ponderous tackles and he just runs around them. Goosebee's like, dude, I'm an all-district basketball player. You're not just going to run around me. Like, you're not going to toy with me like that. I'm going to get my long arms on you. You're not going to do anything. And I'm going to pancake you in pass pro. So Gooseby, I have a high opinion of, obviously. What do you think?
What else needs to be said?
I nailed it.
He's great. He's going to be playing for a early first-round draft pick status. One more year from him will be it. Things would have to go terribly wrong for him not to get drafted, not to have like a really good draft grade after the season. They have Gooseby is a tremendous tackle prospect. Siani, I think, is a very good tackle prospect. Baker can play there. I know they are selling him as a guard in the NFL, but he can play tackle at Texas, and you're not going to miss that much. I thought Newman is a few years away, but was surprisingly nimble.
Newman.
The A&M transfer. One of the Pullmans is supposedly good at tackle. We haven't really seen it. Gojo supposedly can play tackle. We haven't seen it yet. And then I don't know if you've watched Kamara, the verbal commit from Gilmer. Have you seen this kid?
Yeah.
Good Lord.
He's amazing. That's incredible athleticism.
He is underrated.
I mean, well, he's a 5-star. So
I know. I know he is, but he's still underrated.
So he's a 6-star.
Well, he's like a 95, 96, and they have him listed as an interior offensive lineman prospect.
Yeah.
No, he's crazy. It's remarkable that they have so many of these dudes that are just like great athletes and project so well to the hardest position, or it's like the second hardest position on offense behind quarterback. But then guard is still a little bit of a question mark.
Yeah, and I think that jibes with this question that Kevin Hua asks. Can the greatness of Goosby and Siani elevate the overall level of the O-line? So, Kevin, no. Yes and no, but no. Because the defense can line up wherever they want. They're not obligated to just attack Goosby and Siani. If they detect a weakness on our interior at one of the guard positions or center, they can attack there. And that's what defenses did last year. So Goosby was damn good last year. He did not elevate the rest of the O-line because while he's winning his matchup, if other guys are losing theirs, Arch Manning's still getting hit. So Goosby can pancake his guy on every play. And if other guys are getting whipped, we're not going to be able to run offense. So part of, and maybe you haven't heard my spiel, but one of my rules of football is in the O-line and in the secondary, every starter has to be at least average or better. And I mean high level average, Texas level average, not, me playing high school football average. So, because weaknesses can get picked on. The defense can line up wherever they want, and an offense can generally get the ball where they need to. If you've got one guy in your secondary that you're trying to hide, they can usually uncover that guy if you give him enough time, right? So that's one of my iron rules of football. Have every starter on your O-line at least be average, and then the greatness of individual players will actually elevate everybody and your entire performance of the offense. But if you've got guys that are really poor, as we did last year, we had guys that were not startable P4 starters. So forget Texas, forget the SEC. These guys shouldn't be starting at Wake Forest, okay? Or not picking on Wake, Melvin, Siani. These guys might have, I don't know if they should have started at Tulsa. So that was a problem, and it really plagued us. So anyway, that's my rant.
I should clean up. The producer noted I was counting my chickens before they hatched, and Kamara hasn't committed anywhere yet. We're just hopeful that he comes to Texas.
We are hopeful, and if he doesn't commit, it's probably because someone showed him this clip and that he's being taken for granted.
Yeah.
And I hope the full rage of Longhorn Nation descends upon you.
If anything, we're only expressing just how amazing a prospect he is, and how much.
We were expressing our admiration, and praying that he would join our family.
Golly, if he goes somewhere else, that's going to be tough.
That'd be a nut shot. All right. Who else do we need to cover? Because I don't know if we need to do like deep lore. Are there any true freshmen that are going to pull a Connor Williams or a Sam Cosmi and be worthy of starting?
There's one guy I was going to mention when I was listing all the talented tackle prospects that we could talk about just briefly. Turntine.
Yes.
I have been so high on Turntine since I watched him at North Crowley. Sometimes when I think I was late to watch him. I don't think I even watched him until he'd already committed. Maybe that's not true. But I had a chance to watch him like in a full championship game or playoff game instead of just watching the huddle.
Yeah.
And what I saw was that every time North Crowley ran the ball to the left side of the defense got caved in.
Mm-hmm.
And every time he hit somebody, you could see the power because there would just be an immediate shock of them going backwards. Even though he only played at he's like 6'4", and he played in high school at like 240 or 250 or 260 as he got older. And it did not matter. Even against like 6A, he could be playing Duncanville or whoever, and he was blasting people. And then I watched him in the spring game, and it didn't look that much different.
Mm-mm.
He is one of the most naturally powerful linemen I've ever seen us recruit.
He's super athletic too. You can see the athleticism. It's different than Goosby's. Goosby's like, I'm an overgrown power forward, right? His was almost like it was more twitchy.
Yeah.
More powerful, like strength over time, right? Like when he's on you, he's on you. He's a guy that, like, I think a lot of people don't understand the athleticism of some of these big guys because they see him and they're like, oh, he's just a big guy, Like, I remember I was talking to a buddy of mine. I was like, do you think you could go up to like Trevor Gooseby and swat him in the back of the head and like get out of the room before he could catch you? And he's like, yeah. I was like, no, he'd catch you. And I feel like turn time's that guy.
Like a
do
bear.
you think he's a guard or a tackle?
They always say you're tackle until you're not.
Yeah.
I feel like the main reason people say he's a guard is because he's 6'4". And I don't give a rip about like.
It's the Kelvin Banks stuff, man.
That stuff drives me nuts.
Yeah.
Like height is the most over-indexed thing for like offensive tackles.
Well, here is an interesting thing. You do need to have some length, or you need to have some compensatory mechanisms to deal, right?
But the height is only valuable because it correlates like almost 1-to-1 with length.
Yes.
Yeah. Otherwise, it's not helpful to be tall at offensive tackle.
No, especially if you have short arms. I think you've got it on the causation and correlation. Now, there's not a lot of 6'1" offensive tackles with long arms even, and there's reasons for that are pretty obvious, but 6'4" isn't short. I think that's the important thing to mention, right? I loved reading NFL draft Twitter about Kelvin Banks. They're like, obvious guard. And you're like, no, you buffoon. You don't put a guy with feet like that and motor like that at guard when you can pass block that adeptly. That's crazy. But yeah, I have the mentality of every man a tackle. Like, if we're not going to alter the current way the offenses are going and O-line is being teached, I'm increasingly thinking, Ian, I would just recruit tackles and a center every 2 or 3 years. And then my failed tackles become my starting guards.
Can I push back?
Yeah.
Tackles are more expensive.
Well, you can get 3-star tackles.
Yeah. Okay. So like you want to get 3-star athletes and then slide them inside. But the thing is, what makes them a 3-star?
3-starriness.
No, I wish we could get all like 3-star Caden Scherer types that are just like undersized but athletic, and then just bulk them up and then move them to guard.
2 words for you: Connor Williams.
Sam Cosme too, like right
Absolutely.
after him.
Both are some undersized 3-stars. Remember?
Yeah.
I got so mad about it. I wrote a long screed on Barking Carnival back in the day because people were like, Connor Williams is too small, blah, blah, blah. Like, this is the dumbest take I've ever heard. Like, this guy's incredibly athletic. Like, he's going to be like a starter, and he's going to be an all, at the time, all Big 12 player. And he actually exceeded those expectations. So, yeah. Anyway, we're kind of going divergent here. But my point is, if you want to run the ball in a different way than people are running today, then there are arguments for traditional guards, right? But I don't know, man. I might have 4 tackles in the center. And my center might even be a failed tackle. Because now we have 6'6" centers nowadays, which, used to not be a thing, Ian.
Yeah. Somebody out let's indulge this last. Michael Welch says, why not failed defensive tackles?
Yes. We don't do that anymore, do we?
No.
Why?
I don't know.
So our O-line, so we're going to do a deep dive at some point on the O-line crisis. It's probably going to be a 3-parter, but here's a little taste of it. Are O-line coaches no longer able to teach the transition of tight end to tackle, which used to be a common switch, or DT to guard or DT to tackle? Are they not able to teach it? Or is everything such a time crunch now that you're not able to put people in the crock pot and take the 2 years necessary to pull the conversion off? I don't know, but I suspect it might be a combination. Also, there's this whole nonsense of like 6'6", 340-pound guy carrying terrible weight and is slow. Every dumb recruiter guru is like ready-made college size. It's like he's fat and slow. That doesn't mean there's a guy in your Gold's Gym who weighs the same as a NFL guard. There's a difference in athleticism. It's not just ready-made size. Like, you can take a 280-pound really athletic guy and put 30 pounds on him. It's very difficult to take a ponderous 350-pound guy and give him great feet.
I wonder why Jackson Miles, why not IOL specialist? We're going to step on our eventual 3-parter, but I think more teams should have more offensive line coaches. Why is one guy responsible for a huge room?
Because they have to work together.
The secondary figured it out. I mean, there's something wrong. I was chatting with these Pop Warner dads that my kid's going to play on this team, and their team is like the only one in the school that won their championship last year. Mm-hmm. And I was asking him about their like rates of success, and it was like we tackled in practice more than everybody else did, and we had like 3 dads that knew offensive line, and so we had like 3 dads helping on the offensive line, and we were doing stuff like with combo blocks and stuff that no one else was doing. And we bullied people, even though we didn't have like the best athletes or like the most talented or biggest team. And most colleges don't do that. Where you're like, we're going to get like a bunch of guys in here to oversee this room that is so freaking essential.
Yeah, I really think that O-line coaches want everyone singing off the same hymn, the same hymnal book.
Sure.
That's part of it. Also, another part of it, I mean, I've said this before. I think some of them don't want to be found out, Ian.
Mm.
I think some of them don't want to be found out because I had a Longhorn Hall of Honor offensive lineman who played in the NFL for a long time who said, you got to understand, half the O-line coaches at the college and NFL level are frauds. And I was like, whoa, that's a strong statement. And he was like, it's a true statement. So
that's so interesting to me. Well, we should see if we can get him in for like one of the 3-parters to explain.
That won't happen. But
he's not on the record for that.
Yeah, that's not going to happen. But I just think that it was an interesting comment, and whether he's right or not. But his point was, there's actually a few dudes who have the knowledge, and every NFL team is desperately trying to get one of those guys. It was back in the days, it was Alex Gibbs, right?
Yeah.
Dante Scarnecchia for the Patriots. Everyone knows it.
I assume that they teach everybody something. Everybody else learns the thing, and then a problem happens, and no one can problem solve. I assume
that's what he means by they're frauds, meaning they can say all the words. You and I can watch an O-line coaching drill thing on YouTube for an hour, and we can say the words, right? But what do you do when your guard can't make that step? Does he just suck? Okay, we'll bench him. I needed a better guard. No, why don't you teach him? Or why don't you find a compensatory mechanism, right? And his point was, these guys found a way with whatever they were given. New England, part of their draft model, as you know, Ian, is it draft a bunch of first rounders on the O-line? No, let's get a bunch of free agents. Let's get former college wrestlers who are UDFAs. Let's get 6 rounders from small schools. Dante, fix it, make it work. And he's like, oh, good Lord. Okay. And then he goes to work, not just on the unit, but on each individual guy. And it's not just saying, do this, do that. That's what the drill book says. It's let me fix this. Here's what you do well let's gear this towards your anthropometry, right? If you've ever done jujitsu, very similar. The moves are the same. If you're 6'4" and lanky, you're going to do a different jujitsu than a guy who's 5'8" and built like a bull and super powerful. It's just going to be different. And I think O-line play is the same.
Should jiu-jitsu be mandatory in the offseason for Texas offensive linemen?
I'd say wrestling, jiu-jitsu, any sort of grappling where you've got to learn leverage. And it's a hell of a workout. Like moving another person against their will is a good exercise for football.
Somebody asked it earlier in the comments. They're like, just hire somebody from Notre Dame or Michigan. Well, what they have up there is that the off-season program for all the kids up there is wrestling. And in the South, the offensive linemen do track in the off-season. For the most part. That's changing a little bit.
Yeah, it's largely true.
But it's largely true. You find that the top offensive linemen in high schools in Texas in the offseason are either doing baseball or like shot put. So they can like keep lifting and eating. And it does not equip them the same way as those dudes from the Chicago Burbs or the Rust Belt or whatever. And you see it.
Yeah, I also think that there's a strong element of like having a template and understanding what it looks like at the high school level and what the body type is and how you're going to modify that in concert with your strength and conditioning vision. So Notre Dame and Michigan have very specific visions. Wisconsin back in the day had a very specific vision of what their O-line looked like. Wisconsin O-line were huge. You know what? Not a lot of them were fat, actually. If you go back and watch.
Yeah.
A lot of those guys are they're 6'7".
Yeah.
But they're not 370. I mean, there was one guy I actually remember who was like that. But they were like 315 and long and super violent at the point of contact. Like there was no like get a hat on hat. Like it was about like, let's move.
Yeah.
Yeah, Nebraska back in the day was like that. They didn't take tall offensive linemen. You'll be shocked if you go back and look at a Nebraska roster from the 90s. A lot of their O-line are 6'2".
Yep.
6'3".
And under 300.
And under 300, 295. They were very powerful.
They look huge on the field, but the reason they look huge is because their arms were jacked.
Yes.
And they weren't carrying it in their guts.
Nope.
So.
And they could all move. They could all pull.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's the reality of certain, because people always like, oh, Nebraska had all these 6'6", 330-pound dudes back in their heyday. No. 6'3", 300. That was the typical guy. And strong as a freaking ox and could move. That's also why many of them who dominated in college were like 4th round NFL, 5th round NFL draft picks.
I got so sad watching their spring game. Their line is like all transfers.
Yeah.
And they ran duo a couple times and couldn't get any push at all. And I was like, Rule, no, I'm out on Rule. This is not Nebraska football. This is a travesty.
Well, I'll tell you what, has there, I mean, we're in tangent mode. We're in true Ian and Paul mode now, but has there been a coach who's lost more credibility in like the last 3 or 4 years than Rule?
No, starting with Carolina, right?
I guess. I mean, I was thinking maybe that was just intrinsic to Carolina, but maybe there's something off. I mean, he did a hell of a job at Temple and Baylor, but maybe he had good timing. Maybe he knew this is my apogee, time to move. And now the coaching ladder, the next opportunity is not availing itself, and he's having to stick it out. It's not working out.
He did benefit at Baylor from he had a good model there. Texas was still down. We're like starting to fade again, and Oklahoma was starting to peter a little bit. So I don't know. Maybe that's not true. He did a good job at Baylor.
Yeah. All right. Sugar Poppy's right. We're not in Ian and Paul mode until we talk Rome. Here's a Roman fun fact for you. Not that fun. Julius Caesar in his conquest of Gaul, probably exterminated, they think, an eighth of the Gaulish population and sold another eighth into slavery. So about a quarter of Gaul was either enslaved or killed when Caesar conquered Gaul. So there's a fun fact for you.
Maybe they had it coming.
No, I don't think they had it coming. Just because they sacked Rome a couple of times, they came across the mountains and sacked Rome and the BCs.
That's not even the same. This is not even the same dudes generally, right?
No, these are 200 years later. It's like, not the same guys, but we could take out generational revenge, I guess, if you're a Roman. That's what Rome's all about. All right. On that happy note, we're going to end. And of course, we want to see you over at the shining city on the hill of Inside Texas. The Romulus and Remus met and created Inside Texas. $1, 50% off for 1 year. And I think we're good to go. Ian, anything you want to say? Our parting thoughts?
No, I mean, I have 100 more tangents than me, but we got to save something for these upcoming offensive line episodes.
Well, we're also going to talk Yakuza versus Mafia. One of the greatest matchups of Deadliest Warrior.
One of the funniest episodes.
All right, folks, we're out of here. Y'all take care and hook 'em.